News and Speeds.
Yo. What's up? It's your boy Drew. You're checking out that Drew World Order live. Go live on this channel every Friday night. Talk about politics, propaganda, psychology, and philosophy. And tonight, we're going to talk about some real truther stuff here, man. We're going to talk about Bratz dolls, man. Oh, man, this is deep, bro. Only on this channel, man, are we going to go this deep into the Bratz mythos. What's up, y'all? I want to say shout out to the chat real quick before I start. Let's go. Stephen David's in the house. Chem before the storm. Shout out. Has Bratz changed? No. I'm going to tie it in together with the Mandela Effect. Takedown Legend said, are we sitting on that guy? No, not tonight. EBT says he's down to go live after this, so probably go again after this. Hello to Robin. Everyone else. Haska, long time no see. Dr. Dave, good to see you guys. But let's go, man. Got my little transitions going here. Let's see. Let's see if I got it all together. Let me go back here quick. Give you guys a poll. Actually, let me just get going. I've already been talking too much. So I've been thinking about, like, for the last week, kind of like we've been talking about, you know, the people believe they live in a simulation. Not any one person or anything. I'm just saying in general that people talk about that. And I was thinking about kind of how they get people to that mindset and everything like that. And it's always, with everything, it's always very multifaceted. There's tons of different things, but you can see it clearly through long-term generational social engineering. And one of the things I've been looking at, or kind of thinking on a little bit in the last week, is the Bratz dolls, because you can look at them and everyone in here probably is at least like 20-ish years old minimum, right? Really, I got the analytics and I know you're all boomers, but when you look at the Bratz dolls, you can kind of see the evolution of how it went from the Barbie had the stranglehold on the market for a long time. And even though the parents were saying, you know, this was like an unrealistic beauty standard in the Barbie and everything like that. And then they kind of switched it up to the Bratz dolls in the early 2000s to push this image on the young minds. And all the social engineering, well, obviously not all of it, but the vast majority of it seems to be targeted towards young minds, impressionable minds. So they created these. This looks pretty ridiculous at the time in the early 2000s, and now today this is actually what the people look like 20 years later. Right here, Kim Kardashian, the one they tell you is the most beautiful woman, whether or not you believe that. In my day, a long time ago, that you would have looked at this thing and you would have said, it's a man, right? That's how they're able to change the perception of society in a short amount of time. In this case, less than 20 years. They work through, each generation of being about 15 years, give or take, to get a kid through all the way through adolescence, and most of their programming is complete. So there's a Kim Kardashian actual Bratz doll that someone made, and it looks just like her, right? And they tell you this is the hottest woman, and I've heard people in the real world say, "Oh man, this girl she looks like Kim Kardashian," even though it looks nothing like Kim Kardashian. What they're really saying is this is an attractive woman, because they've bought into this paradigm that Kim Kardashian is one of the most beautiful women. And you can see it. Here's I don't know who this is on the right. You guys might know. I think is the middle, is that Selena Gomez? I guess I don't know either. I'm way behind the times and all these people. Kylie Jenner. Did Kylie get her looks from Bratz dolls? Women are crediting the toys over the top makeup for inspiring today's beauty trends. So they come out and tell you this is from a few years ago, but it's still the same kind of look, I believe, in the younger, early 20s or whatever girls. This is kind of the look that I see with the crazy eye makeup and everything like that, the crazy eyebrows. Here's a tweet. Bratz dolls were prophetic. It's 2017 and now people dress like this. And they do their makeup like this, cut crease lashes. It's not prophetic though. It's called social engineering. And these people are the ones that, the elites, whatever you want to call them, steer reality wherever they want them to go. Right? Rihanna looks like one. Who's this? This is Gigi Hadid. I don't know who that is. You guys might know. Khloe Kardashian. They'll have that same kind of look. And let me start closing these windows before I get confused. I got a lot of windows up. Basically, I kind of looked them up because obviously I've seen them, but I didn't really know that much about them. We're not going to go too crazy into the the history of it. I was just kidding about that, but I thought it was a little bit interesting. They started in 2001, and it was an ex-Mattel employee that designed clothes for Barbie, and he conceived and sold the idea to this competitor called MGA Entertainment, resulting in what would become the toy manufacturer's most successful venture. So now that I've looked into this, it looks like it's been in litigation forever, because the Mattel wants to claim that this was intellectual property created while on the clock with Mattel, and this person left and went to sell this idea to MGA. Behind the scenes, everything I'm sure is well coordinated, you know what I mean? It says, as well as being fashion forward in an encouraging experimental way, the core four was refreshingly diverse. Each doll had a markedly different skin tone and hair color, and their racial ambiguity left room for widespread representation. So that's one of the things you see compared to the Barbie doll, which was obviously the white, blonde hair, blue eye, right? And they did come out with different ones and stuff, but that led to the archetype of like the Pamela Anderson being considered the most beautiful woman back in those days. It was that body type and hairstyle and everything like that. And then they kind of switched it up on you from the top down, from whoever the social engineering people are, probably NGOs, think tanks, Tavistock, everyone like that. It does say the Bratz dolls made, look at, almost 100 million in its first year, 2 billion by 2015. So this is no joke. Like, parents were buying this for their kids. The kids are being programmed. They don't even realize that they're just playing with a doll. And you can see it, the result in society today. It says, as much as Bratz and their bravado was loved by the public, they were equally criticized. Parents and scholars were outraged by what they deemed to be over-sexualized children's toys. And the American Psychological Association concurred in its 2007 task force on the sexualization of girls. So they have this whole look at all the words that they programmed these kids to use is on the cover of this report of this task force made by the Acolytes Protection Agency. WWF fans will get a chuckle out of that. But they got the words flirt, mama, eye candy, booty call, all those things they teach these kids to say and everything. And it talks about in this paper here from 2007, toy manufacturers produce dolls wearing black leather miniskirts, feather boas, thigh-high boots, and market them to 8 to 12-year-old girls. Clothing stores sell thongs sized for 7 to 10-year-old girls. This is back in the day. Some with printed slogans such as eye candy or wink wink. Other thongs sized for women and late adolescent girls are imprinted with characters from Dr. Seuss and Muppets. In the world of child beauty pageants, 5-year-old girls wear fake teeth, hair extensions, and makeup, and are encouraged to flirt on stage by batting their long eyelashes. And on and on and on. 2020 website became a member. Appreciate you, brother. You can use the emojis. Every little bit helps if you want to support the work. Become a member. It's $2 a month. To view the sexualization of girls as occurring along a continuum with sexualized evaluation at the less extreme end, we offer several examples of the sexualization of girls to clarify our definition. Imagine a 5-year-old girl walking through the mall wearing a short t-shirt that says flirt. Consider the instructions given in magazines to pre-adolescent girls on how to look sexy and get a boyfriend by losing 10 pounds and straightening their hair. But it's the slow creep into things like this, and it seems kind of innocent. The doll. Your kid watches the cartoon, and you want to be a good parent and buy it the doll. And you're so busy at work all day, you're just kind of like, okay. And it kind of leads to that kind of, you can literally see it in 20 years. So it says, whatever meaningful information was unearthed by such studies was distorted by the frenzy of Bratz slut shaming. Type Bratz into a number of community-driven forums, and you'll find a minefield of scathing comments, such as, has anyone ever noticed how Bratz look like sick little sluts? And why did my mom ever let me play with these? They look like hookers. Criticisms also surround the potential for Bratz to impede a healthy body image. In the cartoon-based context of the doll's over-exaggerated features was lost on many. So it's basically the opposite of the Barbie with the white, lean, all traditional, all-American girl look. And then they move that window over here to this type of look that you see, right? And last year they did this thing called the Bratz, or this was actually a couple years ago now, something called the Bratz Challenge. And you had to do your makeup like Bratz or whatever. That's where I got some of the pictures for this thumbnail, the pictures of the real people. And I was going for Mandelbrats, because I'm going to talk about Mandela Effect too. So I wanted to be like Mandela Effect and Mandelbrats, like a Mandelbrat, how it starts in the 2-dimension. Well, first, ultimately, it starts as a thought. Everything starts and is conceptualized as a thought. And then it gets put down on paper in the 2 dimensions. The isometric projection, right? And then they become like 3D printed dolls. And then 20 years later, now these people are doing this. This is pretty much a standard. You see it everywhere, the look. This was part of the Bratz Challenge, just to kind of show all these people. You see these looks all the time. At least I do when I'm out in public. When they do this, if you're confused here, if you're one of these boomers.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa. That's my alarm. I don't know how to turn that off. There we go. The Nickelodeon alarm. My bad. What they're doing here, though, is they paint the outside of their eyes so that when they close their eyes, it gives that exaggerated anime eyes, basically. And then this one, they're going under their eyes a little bit. But this was like the challenge for people on social media, and even the dudes were doing it. But this looks like what I see everywhere I go. This type of person. And obviously not 100%, but and then with that sexualization of the girls, I was looking up how many women, or the increase. I was trying to find the exact, like, I couldn't find it exactly, but the increase of women watching pornography, starting with this, it starts with the sexualization of the children with all kinds of other stuff, right? Why did my light just get brighter? It's a ghost. It's a ghost. But it was basically saying this was this year. It says at the end of 2019, 3 out of every 10 Pornhub consumers was a female. What were they watching? How could it be harmful? So this goes with, it's all hand in hand. So ultimately, I believe it's a war against men. Ultimately, I believe that you've seen in the long term. And I was talking on the Discord with some guys the other night about how, kind of, if you look at All in the Family, that started in 1971. So that was 50 years ago. And that's when they told you your dad's, he's old, he's out of touch, and he's basically dumb, right? And he's fat and lazy. That's been the war on dads for 50 years. And then even The Simpsons now has been going for 30 years with the dumbass dad. And then you see that in society today where the dad has basically been removed from the home. But there also is the same exact type of things going on against women. But the only reason that happens is because of the war on men first. They had to attack the man first and remove the man from the house, neuter the man, take away the man's finances and everything like that strategically over a long period of time. Because once the man's removed, you can do this kind of stuff. It was Barbie forever, right? You couldn't get brats in the home until the dads were out of the home, basically. And now you have, it says here, 30% of Pornhub people being users being women. It says women are also reportedly proportionately 86% more likely to search for BDSM content compared to men. Y'all are nasty. Y'all are nasty, man. I knew it. It's just because you played with a Bratz doll. That's it. That's all it took. I'm just kidding. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you play with a Bratz doll and all this stuff happens. It's just like it's an onslaught of psyops on people, and it's too much, right? Most people succumb to these types of things at one time or another because it's just nonstop, 24/7 talked about through media and school and everything like that. I also looked up, I thought it might have I'm not saying just brats, but the social engineering is what I'm talking about. Through all kind of TV, other dolls, and everything you see, pop stars and everything, leading to the increase in the, what do they call it? The collagen, because the Bratz dolls have the big lips. And this talks about it here too. It says this is a couple years old, but it went from 1.8 million procedures of fillers, the collagen fillers, in 2010 to this is 2016. So 6 years ago, it was at creeping up on 3 million. So it doubled in 6 years, basically. It almost doubled. I'd like to see where it's at today, but I wasn't able to find it fast enough. But then there is all kinds of problems that do happen with this stuff. Of course, right? Because you're going against just whatever's natural. People are fighting against, like, they want to not believe that there's a human nature and natural things that's supposed to happen. They want to fight that. 1 second, let me look at this chat. I've been missing the chat here. EBT says squirt juice is basically piss. Changed my mind. You're wrong on that, bro. Somehow they're talking about squirting. I don't know. Crazy chat if you're new here, man. It's all my regulars. They're nuts. You gotta be nuts to be here talking about Bratz dolls on a Friday night. But basically, yeah, there's all kinds of complications that come with all these surgeries. Any kind of surgery, anytime you're going against your natural body. I was looking up the 10 most common plastic surgeries. Breast augmentation, breast reduction. Boo. But they do what's the one called? It's like an eye. Let me see if I can find it. I forget what it's called. Yeah, right here. Eyelid reshaping. It's called blepharoplasty or something like that. And that you see that with the dolls too, but obviously it goes with Hollywood, actresses and everything like that.
Eyelids.
Does it show it? Doesn't even show it. But those Bratz dolls have like very distinct, the almond shaped eyes and everything like that. The Kardashians and everything carry that same kind of look nowadays. And then with everything, it evolves, right? And the ones that were from a few years ago, and then we'll go a little more down the line in a minute. But from a few, maybe like 2010, I think, Monster High. Yeah, 2010, they become the Bratz dolls. The next thing becomes like the Monster High dolls, where they're like kind of goth. It's like a Frankenstein type. It's the daughter of the monster. So Frankenstein's daughter, Dracula's daughter, all that stuff. And she's all, cut up and everything, stitched together. Very, very gothy, but it's all this type of things, not just this again, but these types of things that desensitize people, especially at a young age, to when they see, what do you call that? I think I don't the body modifications. You see stuff like this now, and when you're a little kid, you get desensitized to it early through TVs, movies, dolls, everything like that. You see all this weird stuff becoming more and more common. These people would have been like, man, you would have been nowhere. You wouldn't have been able to have a job like in the 80s looking like this. Look at this. And I'm not going to say this is normal at all. And this is definitely, these are extreme cases and stuff, but it's becoming more and more normalized. Look at this guy's got a zipper tongue and so, man. And then, yeah, the argument against it would be like, well, people did this in tribes in Africa all the time. The difference is you're in the Western civilization here. And there was at least some kind of standard for people to be presentable at work, in the work environment and stuff like that. And now you got people looking like these people, these freaks, man. And the same thing is, it's not just exclusively on, little girls. The same thing we can see in our lifetime from when we were kids. If you're a little older, the action heroes of the 80s, they were all huge, ripped, muscular guys. And now the ones in the Marvelverse today, just like soy manlets, basically. And we'll talk about the Marvelverse in a second here. just a minute. I'll check this chat one more time. Yeah, Legend says everyone has tattoos now. Yeah, it's like you are the freak if you don't have the tattoo, basically. That's why I say no tattoos is the new tattoo. Everyone was thought they were so edgy and doing something different by getting a tattoo. Now it's not even like abnormal anymore at all. And that trend can increase to that like body modification I showed. Maybe not to those extremes, but more and more things getting normalized. You're just going to see more and more as time goes on, and people looking more and more like freaks. Unless it kind of, gets reined in somehow, but I don't really see it. But yeah, this has been for years. They've been talking about Barbie's Bratz, unrealistic beauty standards. Not really going to go through this, but then I wanted to kind of tie it in to the Mandela Effect, so that I don't know there might be a Bratz Mandela Effect, but I don't know of any. But what I see with the Mandela Effect is somebody asked if this was a response to someone else's video, and I said no, I didn't even see those videos. That no one's video today. I was just been kind of thinking about this all week. But I see the Mandela Effect also being now pushed to children, like all that other stuff was pushed to children. So the main people that are the believers and the pushers of the Mandela Effect, it seems to be, to me, are boomers. And then the boomers become like the influencers online and talk about it and get the subscribers. And now the kids do their own like Mandela Effect type things here on like TikTok and everything. It's huge on TikTok.
Some of the most insane examples of the Mandela Effect. Cheez-Its never had a Z at the end of it. It was always just Cheez-It. There was never a hyphen in Kit Kat. There was just Kit Kat. Pikachu's tail never had any black on it. It was just yellow. The Monopoly Man did not have a monocle. He did not. Skechers never had a T in the word. It was just Skechers. The Meyer from Oscar Mayer did not have an E in the beginning. It was an A. The Breeze and Febreze only had a single E. The show was not called Sex in the City. It was Sex and the City. Curious George didn't have a tail. Didn't. The Toons and Looney Tunes was not spelled as Toons. It was just spelled as Toons. Jiffy Peanut Butter was not the name of the brand. It was just Jif. Okay, now this one really fucked me up. C-3PO had a silver leg the whole time. And the most famous example, it was never Berenstain Bears. It was Berenstain Bears. Some of the most
And this is one of the most mainstream conspiracies there is. There's even a Hollywood movie that's actually called The Mandela Effect. So they absolutely 100%, the social engineers, the controllers, absolutely want you to believe in the Mandela Effect. So that's what I was thinking too. Like, what is the kind of what's the end game or whatever? If you got to kind of simulate it out in your mind and try to think of where they're going with all this stuff. And to me, after thinking about it for a while, I think that the Mandela Effect, first, let me say, is I think it's intentionally made, some of them, like they went and changed the movie when you saw a memorable part in a movie back in the day. Before it even got to the VCR, they changed it. And it could be all a coordinated attack on people's memories to make you not doubt your own memory, or to make you, doubt your own memory and stuff like that. There's many other ways they could do it. I don't know exactly how they would do it. But that's what I would think. They're just changing these things, or they show you the commercial, like Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. That's like what they showed you in the commercial. And every single person saw the commercial. Most people saw the movie, but everybody saw the commercial, right? And then you just remember that. And then by the time it comes on home video, they changed it or something. And I think it's a coordinated attack against people, and it's going to lead us, as we've seen firsthand. Also, the truth community went into flat earth, right? And then it went into let me do my transitions. Hold on. Did I do it? I hope so. So the truth community went into flat earth, right? And now it's going into simulation theory. We see that hard, man. I feel like simulation's coming up. So I feel like that's a big part of it, of where they're going with all this, is just like those towers were built to come down. I feel like one of the next things they want to do, maybe not in the very immediate future, but one of the reasons this stuff is so badly faked, if you guys haven't seen this, I have a video on my channel called Space is Fake, so go check it out. Tons of examples of them up here, and like glitching CGI and stuff like that. They're on wires and everything. It's very obvious they're on wires. They can only do this flip. This guy's getting caught up in a wire. They're on like a green screen or something. There's tons of examples here of, I mean, you can see this guy's shirt. This guy's shirt's sticking up here and everything. And I think all this space stuff is like bad on purpose. This is the slow disclosure that at the very least, space is not what they tell you it is. In the same way that they introduced outer space to people, there's Jerry. Shout out to Jerry. Hilarious. The same way they introduced space to people was through science fiction and movies and stuff like that, right? And then eventually it becomes accepted as modern day science. They just kind of brought it out first they get you with the imagination, and then they make it real. The same what you saw with the Bratz dolls. They do the same thing with space, is get your mind through all the TV programming and everything like that. I'm trying to find some of these other really bad examples. This is a good one. That's horrible looking. They say that's a satellite. And then you'll see a guy's face. Look at this, a dude's face back here. It's like this is supposed to be in outer space, and there's just some dude's head poking up behind it. So I feel like this type of stuff is the controlled demolition of the space program for whenever they decide it's time to take that down. And then if you want to figure out where they're going next, you got to look at what they did to bring space in, right? They brought it in through science fiction, through television, movies, and stuff like that. And that's what you see right now. And you got to remember the internet basically is the new modern day television and everything like that. But then also, like, the biggest movies for the past few years that's so funny, that dude, is like the Marvelverse, right? All those Marvel superhero movie, and now they going into what they call the multiverse of the Marvel verse. And I believe this is where they want to eventually get to, is they want to, as they collapse that space paradigm, they want to bring you into a multiverse as they're simultaneously bringing you into a metaverse, right? So I don't know enough about this because I haven't watched any of the new Marvel ones, but the basic concept is the same in all. You know, DC Comics had the Crisis on Infinite Earths and everything like that, that there's different timelines, the same people in multiple timelines and stuff, and time traveling and all kinds of stuff like that, where people are moving backwards and forwards and dimensions and time and everything like that. So I think space will become dimensions someday, or timelines, or however they want to describe it. I'm not sure. And this all started with what Layla and I talked about. Go watch it if you didn't see it, but the Dangers of the Online Truth Community, Part 2. and she said the Matrix is, she always talks about this with me, she says the Matrix is one of like the most damaging movies that's ever been made, because you hear these people talk about it like it's real. And this goes with, they released all these movies around the same time. They released The Matrix, The 13th Floor, Dark City, and Existence was another one. All those movies were released late 1998 for Dark City, and then 1999 for those other three that I talked about. So it's like, that's over 20 years ago, right? Like the time of the Bratz, just before the Bratz came out. And then a few years after that, they came out with, let me look it up. I always forget the guy's name. Nick Bostrom, that's the guy they credit for coming up with the scientists, they say, came up with simulation hypothesis, that you're in a simulated reality, like a computer simulation. And I'm trying to see the year. I think it was 2003. So right after those movies come out, they have this guy, Nick Bostrom, comes out and talks about simulation theory. I mean, he looks like Prince William there to me. And this, like I said, the same way they brought space out as they did all that kind of stuff through the movies, and then you had, backed by scientists, Albert Einstein, and, well, first it would have been Werner von Braun and everybody like that backing that stuff, and Walt Disney himself, right? Walt Disney himself pushed the space propaganda on the cartoons, and now Walt Disney owns the Marvel movies and is pushing those multiverse movies onto the masses. So what I thought was interesting is I looked up this trio of movies that came out in 1999, and then you could even add Dark City in 98. You could say those four big movies. That's how they bring it all out in swaths like that, all at the same time. And I don't remember the exact thing now, but when you look back and when they introduced the occult to the television, it was Bewitched, The Munsters, and the Addams Family. They all came out within a couple weeks time, same year, across different networks on television. And that's how they kind of introduced it. Went from Leave It to Beaver, everything's good, you could let your kids watch it. And then they introduce it as, it's fun and it's cute, it's a family, it's the Addams Family, it's the Munsters, and you can watch it. But really, when they're bringing on in like occult programming into the TV and everything, and even though those ones weren't that bad, and then you see what it becomes like today, American Horror Story right on TV showing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? But they did the same thing with these movies, these same bunch of movies. And this is what I thought was the interesting. This is from 1999, this article I have up that talks about them, calls them the cyber thrillers. But it talks about it. It says, if we ordinary humans are not careful, technology that makes it impossible to tell the difference between reality and illusion will allow the bad guys to oppress and exploit us. And I was like, bam, that's it. That's like exactly what happened. So remember, I'm going to read this again because I thought this quote was pretty crazy. Oops, what did I do here? Oh, whatever. But from 1999, they said, if we ordinary humans are not careful, technology that makes it impossible to tell the difference between reality and illusion will allow the bad guys to oppress and exploit us. So they're talking about, that's what the message of those movies is. But you can see that now 20 years later today, that these people literally think they're in a simulation because they watch these movies, and it's like somewhere processing that movie, somehow they believe that it's real because of what they see. They're not able to differentiate The difference is you live in a simulated reality, but it's not a simulation. Everything is fake, basically. Your food is fake. Your friendships are fake, right? You could go down the line. Pretty much everything you do is fake. People go to work, and most people have like a fake type of job, like a cubicle type job. One of these like middle managers or HR people, that you could cut out of a company and no one would even, it wouldn't make a difference, right? Everything's simulated or fake. Fake friends, fake relationships, fake ideologies even they push to you. And then you get false idols out of that. So I think pretty much everything to me stems from it's just the lack of God in people's life, and they want to fill this void with something else. And then it's either drugs or it's a simulation theory or something. It's the same thing, right? It's just there's no no strings attached. Right? Simulation theory becomes your God, and it's just you don't have the responsibility of God. Pretty much the same thing, but no responsibility. That's what I see it being on all this stuff. You have a lawn. That's a fake thing. I could rage about lawns forever. Every single person goes to the grocery store and buys fruits and vegetables, but then they have a lawn that they cut and they buy chemicals for and spend a lot of time mowing that should be a garden. Every single person should have a garden in their front backyard, like full straight on garden. Then you have these fake, what do they call it? Like the homeowners association, completely fake. They don't even want, they wouldn't even allow you, if you're in one of those, to have your entire front lawn be nothing but garden and stuff like that. So I think people, somewhere the wires get crossed, and they realize they're experiencing some kind of like a fake simulated reality because of all the fakeness. But then they go right to, okay, I'm inside of a computer game. And I don't see it like that at all. And I think it's telling that what this movies say they're warning you about is what happened. There's just so much technology, so much information and everything. Now it's being exploited in these conspiracies. Whoever's running these conspiracy psyops and stuff, they're able to just like work wonders on these people's minds and get them to believe in all kinds of crazy stuff, man. It's pretty wild when you sit back and watch it and you're not emotionally invested in it. So back to the dolls for a second. Is the new one, now you got to look at what's the new ones and like where's humanity going. So I think they're taking down space, and I think they're bringing out multiverse, dimensions, and all that stuff. Eventually they might even go, you're in a simulation, there's different simulations or something similar to that. I'm not sure, but the new ones now today are the LOL surprise. You guys seen these things? I only see them like when I walk by them in Target and stuff, My kids were too old for this, and now I have babies too. They're too young for this. So apparently they call it that because it comes in this like the blind pack. You don't see what you're getting. And the LOL surprise. You got to look now. Whenever this came out, let me see. What year did this come out? 20 years later. I don't think it'll even take 20 years anymore, as you're gonna see the people will look more and more like this when they're grown up. You see what year, if it says what year that started. Oh, it's made by the same people then that make the Bratz. I didn't know that. Whatever, I can't find it right away. But these are somewhat fairly new. The LOL surprise. And look at these things, man. They're just freaks looking. And this is where I think they're going with it, is before you took a Barbie type girl and turned it into a Bratz doll. Now these LOL dolls look crazy. And what's the surprise? I think they're getting to you don't even know what's going to be in the pants eventually. You're going to get to this like unigender society. You see it in older white liberals. The man and women look the same. They have the short white haircut, the Rachel Maddow haircut, and they wear the vest. You know, they dress the same and stuff. And they look very similar. And now the next dolls they're pushing here are these like LOL surprise. So they have look like a baby fetish type look and everything. And that goes with, I want to go more into like boomers, because I feel like boomers, and like I said, all these the social engineering is targeted towards the child minds. I don't necessarily just mean children. They're the most susceptible though, and at least they have an excuse. I feel like boomers, for the most part, are in like a perpetual childlike state of mind, and that's why they're getting psyoped so hard on multiple different levels. But I want to talk about that on a whole different stream. I feel like there's a lot to say on boomers. But so eventually you're going to have these baby fetish LOL surprise looking people, and there's articles on them here where it says parents don't find LOL surprise doll genitals funny. It's from 2019. They have straight up genitals on these dolls now. So most people don't even know. Like, I think they just buy them for the kid and they don't look at it. And of course the kid's like undressing and looking at it and stuff like this. Parents are outraged that they have genitals and stuff. But again, and that goes with the hyper sexualization of the children too, to get them in here and looking at a baby dick here. They got these guys. So in a few years, this is what they're going to be looking like. I don't think it's a 20-year turnaround anymore. I think COVID showed you they can pretty much implement anything, anytime. They can just brute force out any kind of programming, social engineering they want to. I'm literally in one day, you could just push something out and 24/7 nonstop talk about it, and it would just be accepted by society. But also subtly, they can bring the things in, trends, much faster than they could back in the day. It's like a perfected science. And this is where I think they're going with it. If you look at it, it's kind of getting to like a unisex type person, and with the big eyes and the big head that you saw in the Bratz doll and those LOL surprise dolls, is they want to desensitize you to this, what they call the gray alien that they've been promoting for so long. And I don't know how that's going to come into play really, but if you're switching from space into dimensions, they're going to have to say this is something from another dimension, or this is something from the future possibly, because I believe they want to get you to believe in time travel, and they could just say this is an evolved human from 20,000 years in the future or something like that. If they did bring this out, it's such a prevalent archetype image that's been pushed and promoted for so long. I think a lot of people agree when they say that you think you'll have some kind of disclosure or something someday. And that's why I think obviously the space has been so bad that they're going to have to go another direction with it, but they could still use this same thing. Even to me, even if they don't go this way with ever bringing something like this out, I do think it would be easy for them to bring out a time traveler, because you wouldn't even have to have this here at all. You could just show a regular person and you could say it's Nikolai Tesla and he did this years ago and now he's here, or whatever, right? Just everyone would believe it, in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I've been thinking about all week, is how you're in a simulated reality. There we go. You're in a simulated reality because of social engineers. And somehow the wires get crossed and people and make the jump into that. You're inside of some computer game simulation or something like that. And it all stems from a lack of God. That's what I think anyway. So EBT says he wants to go live next, so let me get up with him and maybe I'll be right back And if not, I'll be back soon to take calls, maybe tomorrow or something if I don't go again later tonight. So thanks everyone that was in here. I appreciate your time, and